Government today tabled a bill in Parliament to replace the ordinance that amended the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in the Lok Sabha today. Remember, earlier this month, President Ramnath Kovind gave his assent to the ordinance, which makes it tougher for willful defaulters and even for promoters to bid for their own companies in an insolvency process. There are, however, some minor changes in the bill that is tabled. To take this discussion forward, we are now joined by Abizer Diwanji, partner and national leader, financial services, EY India. Abizer, thanks much for joining us. It's too much of legalese. Is there any big difference between the ordinance and the amendment bill?
Yeah, there are a few points of difference. Firstly, the headline is, I think it's a little more stringent than what I would have thought it'd be. So a few things they've clarified. One of the things is they have added the word, along with jointly, applicant is jointly. They've also said that persons acting in consort. So effectively goes back to a SEBI definition of consort, which basically means people who are trying to acquire shares for a substantial shareholding. Now, this is an important thing to understand. It basically gives a new meaning to the word jointly, because first the word jointly was interpreted very widely. I think now jointly, along with the word a person acting in consort, would mean somebody who really wants to regain control. And I think that's what the essence of this ordinance was anyway. So that's a pretty good clarification. On the other side, what it has done for the NPA norms is basically it said that all these people who are one-year NPA who are ineligible, basically the clause says now that this is NPAs which are current, and it's the 1 year prior to CIRP that it should have been NPA. So that's another clarification.
So if you had an ancient NPA 5 years ago, you are not disqualified?
Asian NPAs is no problem. Is no problem. The other good clarification that came is that they interchanged two clauses, and what they basically said because of this interchange is that they've said that people who are NPAs in foreign jurisdictions, right, they are not included in the connected person definition. So effectively what that means is that all the distressed funds of the world can actually come and bid. So that's not a problem, because distressed funds would have assets in other jurisdictions would have been NPAs. So that actually is not covered anymore. So that's another positive thing in this ordinance. But all in all, I think it's just made it much more stringent. It has not made the big changes that people expected. For example, we don't see any change which talks about this clearing of overdues, curing of overdues. Is it allowed subject to a bid getting accepted? That's not there. So some of these things are not there. What they've just done is, I think they've made it more stringent in terms of wordings to make it more clear.
And
nothing more than that.
They've also excluded banks and ARCs and, as you said, alternate investment funds from this disqualification if you own an NPA, which I think is also welcome, isn't it?
Yeah, effectively the connected persons definition, they have put this clause below the connected persons definition, and the connected persons definition does not include these people. And that's how they've got the clarification. However, one thing that one does not understand is they've introduced a new provision under section 34, and basically it says, I'll just read it out. It says, for new provisions have been introduced, which basically said that this 30 days is given for curing of the debt. One doesn't understand what this 30 days is for and from. Is it 30 days after a plan has been accepted? Is it 30 days before a plan has been accepted? I think if it is actually 30 days after a plan has been accepted, then I think that's a much bigger clarification than what was required, and that will be very good for the industry, because a lot more people would be able to bid and then effectively pay out all the overdues.
Fair enough.
But I think with the essence of what the other changes are, that doesn't seem to be the probable answer.
Fine, we'll leave it at that. Abizer Diwanji, thank you very much for joining us. So tightening of some definitions and excluding the external NPAs in external jurisdictions from coming in the way. So alternate investment funds can come and bid for stressed assets even if they own NPA companies outside India. So that just clarifies. But